I want to discuss the concept of being a ukulele player rather than being a person who is able to play an instrument that is tuned in a certain way. Being a ukulele player, it means that you like the sound of these high-pitched four-stringed instruments that we call ukulele, that are stringed, that are tuned in a certain way, but with a reentrant tuning or a low G, mainly a reentrant tuning, and you stick to that. Um, Otherwise, I would like to be not strictly a ukulele player, but a person who, for reason or practical reason, because I play the recorder and instruments and don't have time to devote just to stringed instruments, and this is my happy instrument. Um, I um, cannot learn different tuning as I did with the other my woodwind instruments, where I learned the different fingerings for different, um, for example, the baroque flute has a different fingering than the recorder. But I was, I mean, I started that very early, not that early, but I was 14, so I had all the time to adjust and to develop um, this ability. This late in my life, I cannot do that, and I stick to the instruments that have from sol la si, a fourth difference, and then a third from and then a fourth. Okay, this is the relationship between the string among them, and the first one um, is high pitched, but it would be the same when I play chords with a baritone, even if the tuning is different, but the relation, the distance between the strings is the same. Having said that, um, that's why people who have this mentality can play what people call banjolele, or to me banjolele is not a ukulele, is a four-stringed instrument that is tuned like a ukulele. It isn't a ukulele. So we should invent a new word for people who can play four-string instruments that are tuned, or whose distance between the strings is the same. It's a different mentality. These are people like me who like to um, different sounds and make the most of their ability of to play chords. Obviously, I noticed that there are some differences. Some tabs, some fingerings, I call them fingerings, are more easier on the tenor. Other are easier on the soprano. They are easier on the tenor when you have to use several, you know, three, like for the E, um, fingers for the same fret. Or when there is a distance, I mean, like this is easier sometimes on the soprano. There are slight differences. But once you know the difference, you know basic chords and this, um, you're basically able to play every kind of instrument that is tuned the same way. That's why we should invent a word like, I don't know, first fourist, first four strings of a guitar, first forest. A person who can play an instrument that is tuned basically like the first four strings uh, of a guitar. They are tuned like a ukulele and a banjo, or an instrument that I would like to adjust, and I would call it a ukulele. That means a bouzouki, or Irish bouzouki, because it's cheaper. That is tuned. That these two, first and second string are tuned one note higher, and they would exactly be like a baritone ukulele. So if an instrument string like ukulele, tuned like ukulele, because banjolele, I would call it bouzulele. And it's very funny that nobody has come up with this idea. But basically, it's not further from ukulele than banjolele. The difference that is that since if you made a banjolele lower as a baritone, it will sound like a banjo. Okay, because it's, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's tuned in the same way. But since the bouzouki is tuned slightly differently, at least the Irish bouzouki, tuning it like a ukulele would not change the sound. I mean, yes, I think the sound is not, there's not much difference, just a little bit, just sounds a little bit brighter, I think. But the technique is, I don't know, but it would be it's very similar. So ukulele player can play that instrument, and but the idea of being a ukulele player is not there anymore. You don't play up Hawaiian music. The pitch is not that high. Is not portable. It's another instrument, but basically, from the point of view of the player, is closer to a ukulele than machete. What's the name? Or cavaquinho, that from the point of view of the sound would sound much closer, but since at least I think, yes, they are tuned very differently. From the point of view of the player, they are totally different instruments, and so that's a very strange thing about a stringed instrument. There is a problem of identity. Why? Because we can tune differently them, but you can tune them differently. But concerning woodwind instruments, you cannot invent new fingerings on a recorder, because these are the holes, and you have to follow the fingerings. Otherwise, you would need to buy a new recorder with different width, with the hole differently tuned. But stringed instruments are very different. You can have different tunings, so the whole problem of identity is there. So what we can call a true blue recorder, ukuleles are just there is a sopranino, soprano, standard concert, a tenor, and already with a tenor there is a problem with identity. It looks like a guitar, the sound is fuller. So the ukulele, like, okay, we want to do many things, but in a way we have to be like the guitar. So it's like the true blue standard ukulele is not a winning. It's not a winner. I mean, it had to change in order to be fully accepted to be played, um, bossa nova, rock, whatever. Actually, it's true that the soprano is more for fast music, for jazz of the 20s, 30s, and for maybe folk to be play the higher part of mel in a band. But um, once you go that way, like becoming bigger and bigger at a certain point, like with the baritone, there is a problem with identity. A high-pitched guitar with 6 strings, is it a alto guitar or a guitarlele? That is the point. It sounds so similar. So I don't care about being 100% devoted to nylon or guts or nylon gut strings, having a G, C, E, A tuning. Okay, I'm more like, okay, I don't want to change the shape of my chords, but for the rest I can change everything. The instrument can be bigger, the instrument can have 4 double strings instead of 4 single strings. The instrument can have I don't have it obviously, the body like a banjo or like a mandolin. We don't have, but surely we can make ukulele with a bent back, like mandolin, like curved. So actually, if we are able to play all these instruments, why not? The only problem is the genre. So if I play bouzouki, the problem is that it's played a certain kind of music, so I should learn also the patterns of that kind of music. So that can be a problem with identity for ukulele, but also an asset. A person who can play the ukulele can play basically a lot of instruments that have the same tuning. The same doesn't go for the guitar, because yes, you have 6 strings, but if you're used to 6 strings, I think you have to think of your chords differently if you just have 4. But that's the way I see it. I don't exactly know, because I don't play the guitar. I don't know the tabs of the guitar. But basically, if you play the ukulele and you disregard 2 rings, you can do the same thing on a guitar, and it will sound you can play a guitar like a ukulele. I know it's strange, but you can do the same chords, you know. Just do not touch the other 2 strings. So actually, being a ukulele player allows you theoretically to play a guitar, to play. You have to transpose, obviously, but it's not big deal. I mean, if I can do it, you can do it, and you can play changing. I was speaking Greek because I was speaking about a Greek instrument. Changing the tuning, you can play a Irish bouzouki. You can play, I don't know, yeah, bouzouki. I haven't checked. You cannot play mandolin, that's for sure. It's so different, and because you don't have the strings that can be changed as to the ukulele tuning. Theoretically, if you had the right strings, you could tune it like a ukulele and play it, but wouldn't sound like a ukulele. So basically, we came up with the conclusion that there are two ways of facing instruments, stringed instruments, from the point of view of the player. So the technique, the ability to play, the relation between the strings, and the point of view of person who's listening, that doesn't know these things, but it only judges that if it doesn't sound like this, it's not a ukulele. It can have the same fingers, it's not a ukulele. And if the baritone doesn't sound like a ukulele, it isn't a ukulele. You can call it ukulele, yes, but a baritone ukulele basically is a guitar with 4 strings. There can be a difference in the sound, but not so much. I mean, the difference between a baritone sound and a guitar sound, and the difference between a baritone ukulele and all the other kinds of ukulele, the way I see it, some people say the opposite, but I still think that it sounds like a guitar, unless you have reentran tuning. But that's also the same problem of identity. Anyway, all this is my take as an outsider, because I still deem myself to be an outsider in the stringed world. And what will I do? I said I can branch out. You need money, because these instruments cost. Banjolele, buzulele, I invented the word, and so it's late. For the time being, I will buy this colored, and I don't know if I'm going to change some of the. I have to paint a little bit better. Actually, somebody did it for me, my roommate. But still, it smells like paint. Another one with low G, to play all this Hank Williams songs, not necessarily use the baritone, but I want to have a deeper sound, and I want to be able to play the bass note here. So will I stick to different ukuleles, another soprano maybe, or will I jump to the ability of playing Greek music with a buzulele? I don't know. But speaking about these things can help me clear my mind, and maybe yours, about the identity on instruments and our identity confronted with those instruments. And I still think that for the time being, I like the idea of being able to accompany myself with chords, because it's something I've never been able to do, playing the flute, and that's it. That was a long-winded speech about these instruments and other things. Many people like the ukuleles because they are cheaper than other instruments. You can afford several instruments. There's the beauty, and I also like this, and the fact it is not, strange, isn't it strange? That's it, and happy strumming to myself and to you. Be happy, play the ukulele.